everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Heather Eshelman. I'm the Prevention Manager at the Maryland Center of Excellence on Problem Gambling. And I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this exciting month that's coming up next month. The month of March is our Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And it is a month at the center that is super busy. And we are looking to increase our partnerships, our contacts, and just getting all the messages out about problem gambling awareness. Before we get started, I do have some housekeeping notes. So you will be awarded a 1-hour CEU for attending today's webinar. Approximately 1 hour after the webinar concludes, you will receive an email with the webinar post quiz link from GoToWebinar. Cut and paste the link into your web browser. Once you complete the post quiz, the certificate of attendance will be emailed to you from the center within 2 to 3 business days. Due to the number of attendees on today's webinar, we will keep the audience muted. If you do have any questions during this webinar, please use the question function. We will be monitoring the questions during the webinar and will respond back to you and all the attendees in real time. Please join us for our next webinar on Friday, February 26th. That's not, I don't think that date is correct. But anyway, it might be next Friday or the Friday after. We have another webinar, and check up on all of our upcoming webinars. They're all on the website. But the next one is Positive Psychology, Part 1, a strength-based approach to working with gamblers, presented by Anthony Parente. Visit the center's website, mdproblemgambling.com, for a complete list of training programs. So that date for that webinar should be on there. And we hope you'll be able to register. So for those of you that may be on this webinar for the first time, we are the Maryland Center of Excellence on Problem Gambling, and we promote healthy and informed choices for individuals and communities regarding gambling and problem gambling. So we are here to encourage safe gaming and gambling practices, as well as provide help to those that may need help with a gambling problem. Our director is Mary Drexler, and we currently have 11 additional staff. So what does the center do? Public awareness campaigns. Oftentimes the public doesn't know that problem gambling is a public health problem and how it impacts individuals and families. So we are trying to get the message out that it is a risky behavior and that could possibly lead to addiction. We also have training for clinicians and community members, and all the training can be found on our website. And also, we don't provide treatment in-house, but we do provide technical assistance to treatment providers, mostly behavioral health providers that are able to take our training for no cost, and then they are able to provide treatment to problem gamblers. In addition, we have our wonderful peer recovery support program. We currently have 5 peers across the state that are people who have lived experience with problem gambling and other addictions that can talk to people in the community or at treatment centers that may need help to get on that road to recovery. So I'll talk a little bit about that a little more later in this webinar. We also have prevention programs, which comes out of my office, the prevention office. And we work with special populations that may be at greater risk of problem gambling behaviors. And we hope to prevent these problems in these populations. In addition, we have our public policy. We are able to follow the legislation, especially right now, the hot topic is sports betting. So there's a lot going on in that area. So it's interesting to follow, what's going on there in the legislative session. Also, we work collaboratively with research departments, so we're able to get really studies on problem gamblers as well as the prevalence of gambling in the state of Maryland. And then we do have a referral list of the providers that do provide problem gambling treatment in the state of Maryland. So that can be found on our website. In addition, we have our helpline services, which operates 24 hours, 7 days a week, and it's our 1-800-GAMBLER helpline. So let's go ahead and start talking about March, which is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So how did it all start? Basically, it was a national grassroots campaign that was created and sponsored by the National Council on Problem Gambling. So the National Council has affiliates in all the states of America, and we're all coordinated and we all learn from each other. And the National Council also has materials on their website for Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So we'll also go over those in today's webinar. This is the 17th year for this event, and actually the Maryland Center of Excellence has been celebrating or raising awareness of Problem Gambling Awareness Month since 2013. So it really did begin with the gaming industry. So lots of the state lotteries and gaming agencies are very engaged in trying to encourage safe gambling and safe gaming behaviors. So it was a way for them to kind of get involved and raise awareness about this important issue. But it currently has expanded, and now there's many organizations here in Maryland and across the country that are going to be promoting message around safe gambling and problem gambling help during the month of March. So we're hoping that everyone that's on this webinar will be able to do at least a little something to promote Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And there's lots of easy things that you can do, and I'm going to go ahead and show you some of those things. But as far as those that are mental health or substance misuse providers, it's so key that you participate, as you often know that those that have mental health and substance misuse problems also are more likely to be problem gamblers. So we just hope we can bring more awareness to this issue in our communities. So today I am going to walk you through 2 guides that have been created at the center, and I want to give a shout out to Donna Gaspar because she really did put a lot of work into these materials to make it very easy for you to celebrate and to raise awareness during the month of March. So we do have a new one. We usually only had the one, which was the guide for behavioral health providers and preventionists. But now, in addition, we have the Gambling Disorder Screening Day awareness materials and toolkit. So I'm going to start with that one, the screening guide. It looks like this is the front cover, and there's an opening letter from Mary Drexler, our director. And these materials can be found in your handouts, as well as they will be emailed to you with your CEU certificate. So you will be receiving these guides. I think it's easier just to walk through what's in them, because then maybe you won't have time to go back and read the whole guide, but you'll be able to say, hey, I remember on the webinar, this was something simple and easy that I could use. So what is Gambling Disorder Screening Day? This year, it's March 9th. And the center has encouraged it before, but this year we really have the guide, and we are encouraging it even more for our providers to get involved. And also the Behavioral Health Administration is really hoping that that everyone will get involved in this initiative. So it's always the second Tuesday in March, and so this year it's March 9th. And this was created by the National Council on Problem Gambling and Cambridge Health Alliance Division on Addiction in Malden, Massachusetts, and they are affiliated with the Harvard Medical School. And the purpose is just to educate and support healthcare providers in screening for gambling disorder. So oftentimes, providers are very busy, and there's a lot of health problems that come to play in helping and treating people. So we want to have a special day where they are encouraged to focus on gambling screening. So it helps to identify individuals who need further assessment. So it's not going to give you a diagnosis. If someone screens that they may be at risk, then further assessment will be needed. So to use the gambling disorder screening guide, I'm going to walk you through it now, and you have everything you need to participate. So everything's in this guide. So again, this is the first year the center is really pushing Gambling Disorder Screening Day, and we're very excited to do that. And you don't have to be a treatment provider to encourage Gambling Disorder Screening Day. It can be for regular healthcare providers. Primary care staff could also engage in gambling disorder screening. Even preventionists have been able to do screening in the past, especially with SBIRT. So, and then also recovery centers would be another place, or recovery housing would be a great place to do screening day. So, encouraging behavioral health providers, why is it so important? Because individuals that we work with are at greater risk of gambling disorder. And gambling disorders, we know, can have adverse health and treatment outcomes. It can kind of compound. So, if someone is in treatment for substance misuse or mental health problems, if they start gambling, it's just going to compound and make the problems worse. So we're encouraging you to do the screening. Perhaps you can catch the problem early, or maybe if you don't know the person has a gambling problem, this will make you aware that this might be one of the reasons why they're even having increased stress and increased problems. It's all interrelated, our health. So whether it be mental or physical, gambling can have negative effects on our health. And untreated gambling problems can lead to an increase in treatment costs and utilization. So as we know, with any kind of untreated health problem, gambling included, if you catch it later, it's more difficult and costs more money and more effort to stop the problem. So catching the problem early is key to the person's wellness and health. Also, we know gambling is an addiction, very similar to substance misuse. So again, we want to help the person early, maybe catch it while it's in early stages so that it doesn't progress to something more severe. Also, gambling can be a relapse factor, meaning if someone becomes in recovery or is in recovery from substance misuse, they're going to be looking for ways to substitute that behavior with something else to either cope with their problems or just to fill the time that they don't have anymore, that they're trying to find more drugs. So the gambling could be a behavior that could be picked up by mistake that could cause problems down the road. And also, there's a lot of studies done that problem gambling does worsen mental health problems. So we were on our staff call today, and this comes up frequently, unfortunately, that a lot of the people that call the helpline could be possibly suicidal. So we do need to be concerned about how gambling behaviors impact mental health problems and can make them worse. So that's another reason, try to screen people, catch it early. So And there's just a wide array of public health problems associated with negative gambling behaviors, all the way through just things that harm the individual as far as their health, but also the family members that are affected through possibly unpaid bills, housing instability, legal problems, domestic violence, and child maltreatment. So the whole family is impacted. So if you can help the person that's in need as early as possible, it's going to help the whole situation. So what are the goals of screening? Well, you know, you're not going to have, I don't know what the percentage would be if you go and screen your clients or the people you serve. But one interesting piece of information is one study found 40% of those that were screened at a methadone clinic also had a gambling problem as well and screened for gambling disorder. So we know that it's a greater number of people that are in treatment for behavioral health problems will also have a gambling problem as well. But for those that don't, it's actually a good way to just have a conversation about gambling. So anytime, you might even take a fun little quiz online about anything, right? Or a little test that kind of makes people see, you know, how they think about things and how, you know, like, I don't know, I think the quizzes are eye-opening because you feel like, oh, you might learn something about yourself. But also it makes you to have a conversation about something and think about an issue that you may not have before. So begin to make connections between gambling and other areas of your life. So again, as the questions are being asked, it helps people to think about, oh, well, how much money could I be spending on that activity? Or how does that impact my children or my spouse? And also just, you know, what other things am I not doing because I'm gambling? So I could be doing other healthier choices besides, you know, going to the casino instead. So it kind of gets you to think about where you are in life. And it reduces the stigma of reaching out for problem gambling help. So if the conversation's already starting because somebody's taking a screening, then they're going to feel more comfortable asking for help if the help is sitting right in front of them, asking about the problem. So that's a good outcome of screening. And then there's always that opportunity if people do screen at an at-risk level, then there's opportunity for them to go and get further assessment, oftentimes right there in your center where you already offer problem gambling treatment services. So how do you participate in Gambling Disorder Screening Day? There is a great flyer that Donna created that I'm going to show you on the next slide, but just use the flyer to promote it. So it's not something you're going to, you know, wake up on March 9th and say, oh, let's do these screenings. It's more impactful if you can get the whole staff involved, and you can post the flyer on social media, send out email contacts, put it in your newsletters. Again, this kind of raises the awareness that, hey, gambling disorder screening is important. But you also want to give people notice that it's going to happen. You don't want them to be surprised either. So you can kind of, you know, put it out there as like almost like a awareness campaign. And then actually on March 9th on the screening day, then you're going to begin to have the conversation about gambling. And that's going to naturally happen if your staff is going to start to do screenings. And then the tool that we're encouraging you to use is called the Brief Biosocial Gambling Screen, and I will also show that to you as well. So there will be a discussion of results. Again, if that can be kept private, that would be great. So people can make decisions about, you know, where they go based on their results. And then additional resources can be provided. And we're here at the center if you have any questions about what to do. And we are happy to say we have a new clinical manager, Kristen Bell. who is awesome, and her email address is here, and she is available to answer any screening questions you may have. Also, in addition, treatment questions as well. So this is the flyer I'm talking about, and we have a welcoming door because we want people to walk through this door, that just because you're getting a screening doesn't mean you have to be afraid, right? It's going to teach you something about your behavior. And again, there's a couple quick facts on there as to why it's important to get a screening. And also, we always have at the bottom of each flyer the 1-800-GAMBLER. And we'd like you, in any materials that you use the Problem Gambling Awareness Month logo, which is the blue ribbon. You can't see it on the screen, but it is on the flyer. So that's important to do. But the beauty of this is this flyer is already made for you. All you have to do is get it out to your networks or send it out to your staff so that they're aware that you are going to take part in the screening day. So I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. This is not really my area of expertise, although, you know, we do screening and prevention. But the brief biosocial gambling screen asks these first four questions here. So you really want to look at gambling frequency. So if someone is gambling 5 times or more in 1 year, they're starting to look at, wow, that's time consuming. The person's going quite often. So that would be a yes or no question. And then you ask about experiencing negative consequences such as restlessness, irritability, and anxiety. And then the whole piece about the family. So is it impacting the family? So are you keeping a secret? Yes or no? And then also, which is very key with problem gambling, is the financial issues that that accompany the problem gambling behavior. So we want to know, have you had to seek financial help? Yes or no? So the way this is scored is low risk is if you answer no to all the questions, and then moderate would be if you answer yes to question 1, but none to the other, no to the rest, because maybe you are gambling frequently or someone's gambling frequently, but they don't have any negative outcomes associated with it. So we're not as worried about them. But then our high risk would be someone that answers yes to question 1 and then yes to 1 of the other 3, because that means somebody is suffering some negative consequences due to their gambling behavior. But it's quick and easy. It's not super detailed. So it would be very easy for people to implement this screening tool. And what if someone asked you, or they're declined to participate in the screen? Maybe they don't feel comfortable with it, or I don't know, there could be a lot of reasons, right, that somebody doesn't want to screen. I don't have time for that today, or whatever it may be. It'd be great if you could make it mandatory that everyone takes it. Then it's kind of like no decision, but it's going to depend on your organization if that's going to be the way you go. But there's also this other resource that is conveniently located on our website, and it's a self-assessment. So the person can go in and they can click on the self-assessment and take a self-assessment online. And this will also help them to decide if their gambling behavior is risky or not, and that if perhaps they may need to seek help. Also, I realized too with the gambling screen, it's not only, this is our help seeker website listed here, but if you go to our homepage on the mdproblemgambling.com, Problem Gambling Awareness Month is going to pop up. As soon as you click on that, then the self-assessment comes up right on that page after that. So it's prominent on our websites, and people feel less pressured sometimes when they do the self-assessment. So any way we can get them to participate and think about their behavior is a win-win. So what opportunities are there for your staff? And this is also in the screening guide. but these are some extra things that you can do. So we do have the problem gambling reimbursement program. So it is an opportunity for your center or organization to be able to become a no-cost treatment provider. So that is an option. Also, there are plenty of free problem gambling trainings through the center, and the CEUs are free. So that's a really great way to get your staff those free CEUs that they need for their certifications. Also, there are case consultation calls 4 times a month. So if you are currently, if staff at your center have been providing problem gambling treatment and they have a concern or a question about a difficult case, these case consultation calls are great because the team or whoever's on the call is able to help treatment providers walk through what they may be able to do with this difficult client. So they're a great opportunity. Also, the informational flyer on these opportunities that I just mentioned is included in the screening day guide. So these are ones we've been using at the center, but we'd like you to promote them even more during Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So that's about all we have for the screening guide. Now I'm going to start talking in general about the Problem Gambling Awareness Month toolkit. So why should you promote awareness around problem gambling during the month of March? Well, we know that about 2% of Maryland adults are problem gamblers. So that is equivalent to over 130,000 people in our state. And that's, it could even be more than that. So that's an estimate. But 2 out of 100 people, adults that you meet, could possibly have a gambling problem, which is quite a bit of people. And then what we know from our studies as well, that a lot of people aren't even aware of the 1-800-GAMBLER helpline, or they're just not aware of where to go for help. So we really want to raise awareness so that people would know where to go for help if they're in need. And you can help. I mean, you're really doing some small things. You can help us promote these messages. So as far as awareness goes, if you can educate yourself on the signs of problem gambling, that would be the first step. We're going to encourage you to start a conversation and then use the guide for additional ways to help. So I'm going to go through all 3 of these items in detail. So basically the signs of a gambling problem revolve around the loss of control of gambling behaviors, preoccupation with gambling, being secretive about it, the inability to hold a job or go to school and focus on things in life that are important, and also mental stress due to the inability to control the gambling and irritability when someone cannot gamble, and also chasing losses. Oftentimes people that are problem gamblers are continually trying to chase and win back the losses of the money that they've lost. And then also just lying and deceit in relationships, and overall a lot of financial problems. So these are related to the DSM-5 criteria for a gambling disorder. So if you're familiar with those, these will look very familiar to you. So as far as conversation tips, and we all have to have difficult conversations. So it might not be about gambling all the time. Believe me, because I've got I've got a 10 and a 12-year-old, so I'm constantly talking to them about difficult topics now that they're getting older. But you want to ask open-ended questions when we're looking at talking about gambling. So you can just start by something simple like, what do you like about gambling? And what keeps you going back? Do you try to set limits? Do you realize it could be a risky behavior? What kind of limits can you set for yourself, or what limits do you set? And then would you realize if your gambling problem is out of control? And how would you try to control that behavior? So one thing that I did with the peer support specialists is we did go into the senior centers before COVID hit. We were doing them in person, and now we're going to be doing some virtually. But I often would ask the seniors, what is your plan for if you win? I mean, do you just keep on playing till you're out of money, or do you say, if I win this amount of money, I'm walking away and I'm going to do this with the money? But you don't want to have a plan that you are going to win, because most of the time, you know, people are going to lose money. But what do you do if you lose money, and at what point do you walk away? So another thing I would recommend to the seniors at the presentations was to track the money spent on a spreadsheet, so you could see how much you were spending and how much you were winning and losing. And sometimes that really hits home with how much time and money has been going into a gambling behavior. So again, with a difficult conversation, these are just tips. You want to choose a good time, let the person know you're concerned, and be specific about behaviors you've seen, and be non-judgmental. So we don't want to come at them in an angry tone. We want them to know that we're here to help, and that we will walk them through to get the help that they need. So these were just some examples for a regular conversation. I'm concerned we received a notice in the mail that the mortgage was not paid this month, and you go to the casino every Friday night and you usually don't win. I'm feeling very stressed and also worried about your behavior. So there are free services to help those that need help with problem gambling. Are you willing to seek help? So that would be one for someone, a spouse or someone that's closely related to someone. And then if it's just a friend, if you notice a behavior change, such as usually we walk together almost every day, but now you go to the bingo hall instead, is there a reason why you won't walk with me anymore? It's not really saying or blaming the person that the bingo is a cause, but they're just asking for more information. So trying to keep it as light as possible and not being judgmental or blaming. And I try to do a couple here for providers, so we'll see if these work today. I'll get some feedback from my colleagues on what they think about these. Hello, Bill. You have made a lot of progress on improving your wellness. March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And you mentioned to me you like to go to the casino. I'm concerned about your gambling because sometimes people in recovery are likely to have other addictions. Would you be willing to take the gambling screen so we can discuss the results? So hopefully that's light enough that someone might not feel like you're really calling them out and trying to judge. And then the second one, hello, Jenny. Lately you have told me you are having financial problems. After you pay your bills, what do you like to do with your extra money? Would you mind if we do a gambling screening and discuss the results? So you don't really know in this case why the person may be having financial problems. They may not have disclosed it to you, but in taking a gambling screen, you may learn that it may or may not be related to a gambling behavior. All right, additional ways to help. I know everyone out there is super busy, so we're not saying we want you to take on a whole lot, but even just educating yourself on problem gambling, the signs and symptoms, maybe taking another webinar in a couple months, you will educate yourself, and in the process, you do become more aware of the problem, almost unconsciously sometimes, but you're going to be able to, it will be on your radar. And then if you know the resources that are available to problem gamblers, then you don't have to go and look it up. I mean, you're going to just know, oh, 1-800-GAMBLER, or the Maryland Center of Excellence has all the resources. So let's contact them. Let's contact the peer in our area. So just knowing those resources at the top of your head will make you feel more comfortable in offering them. So that is important, to just be educated. Also, I've already mentioned the free training opportunities in the case calls. Please take advantage of those. Also, we're happy that we're going to be able to have our annual conference this year. Unfortunately, last year, like so many other conferences, got canceled due to COVID, but we are going to offer it virtually this year. And our conference is something to rave about. It's the best. So hopefully you'll be able to attend that, and you learn a lot in that full day. There's some nationally known speakers that we do secure and are able to come and speak about problem gambling and prevention and recovery. You can always request a presentation from the center staff. Our peer recovery support specialists are there to come do a presentation to either your treatment or recovery groups, or we can tailor a presentation to whatever your needs are, and we'd be glad to present. Most of them are virtual right now, but hopefully that'll open up soon. I know we're all hopeful we can be around each other soon. And then again, bring in the peer recovery support specialists. They're always so helpful and happy to provide presentations to those that you serve and work with. So moving on to the guide. This is what the guide looks like, and it's called A Guide for Behavioral Health Providers and Preventionists. And again, I'm going to walk you through everything that's in the guide. So the first thing I wanted to point out was, this is new this year. What we did for the holiday campaign, which was also through the National Council on Problem Gambling, and it encouraged people not to sell lottery tickets to those underage. Basically, I was asked by a couple of counties, Cecil County and Anne Arundel, for a blog post because they wanted to post an article on their website. So Donna and I said, hey, why don't we just go ahead and provide a sample article or blog post for people, so you can really lift this article out of the guide and put it in your newsletters, on your website, or any type of place that you can think of that you would like to use an article. And Donna will be here also. She's an expert on this part. She'd be glad to tailor it to your needs. If it's too long or too short, we can help you adjust it to what you need. The other thing that our staff is doing at the center, which would be great if we could have many, many other people out there do the same thing, you can simply copy and paste one of these email signatures that are found in the guide and put it with your email signature. So there's 3 different ones in the guide that you can choose from, but you know, we have our lovely blue ribbon there. So they're very colorful and bright. People notice that. I've gotten compliments on my email signature. So I feel like, you know, this is a simple and easy way to participate in Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Also, I can't emphasize this one enough too. Super exciting news. Facebook and Twitter accounts for the center have been relaunched. They were kind of not being used for a couple years there, but you know, now we're happy to relaunch them. And simply what you can do, and one of our peer recovery support specialists, Karen, said she actually posted one of our, or she liked one of our articles and sent it and shared it out with her contacts. So then we got 40 new people that liked our page. So very easy to do if you're on social media. I'm not a super good at social media, but it would be easy if you want to just like us on Facebook and then share our posts. That's just clicks of the button, right? You don't have to create anything. And that will get our messages out quickly and for no cost. Also, if you like to tweet, if you're on Twitter, then you can follow us on Twitter and retweet and like us. And again, that's going to boost all the messages that we can get out there and raise the awareness about problem gambling in Maryland. So super important. And we would love for, if you can, if you go to the guide and you hover over the electronic version, it'll take you right to our Facebook or Twitter page. So I think you have to hit Control Enter, but it'll take you right to it. Or you can just Google our name and they'll come up. So if you want to get creative and you want to create your own post for social media, the suggested link that we would like you to use for more information, because generally on your post you put like a sentence or something to catch people's eye, then you want to lead them to a website or something else. we're suggesting that you link them to helpmygamblingproblem.org, which is our help seeker website. And then Donna actually did categories this year in the guide. So there's some for March 9th. So again, for the screening day. So if you want to do something on or before March 9th and you want to push screening day, there's some sample posts in the guide. Also, March 14th or after, I don't think we're allowed to say March Madness, but we're definitely not allowed to write it in or put it in our guide because it's a copyright. But there are some social media posts related to the NCAA brackets for basketball. So you can just take those messages and use them on your social media. And then there's plenty of general posts. Most of them are general posts. So March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and there's several other ones. But if you don't feel like you can write your own, there's plenty in the guide that you can just kind of lift out and use yourselves. Or like I said, like our pages and then share what's already on there. Very easy. So what are some other things that are in the guide that you can use to promote Problem Gambling Awareness Month? So you can post flyers or send them out to your contacts. Also, you can add the Problem Gambling Awareness logo to your website. And there are many different versions of the logo on the National Council on Problem Gambling website, which I'm going to show you. And email signatures, we've already talked about that, articles and newsletters. And then one thing that we do a lot of, and it's starting to pick up as things open up, but we have so many free, no-cost materials to your organization that you can just order rack cards or small business size type cards, also flyers, anything that you need, they will be shipped to you at no cost. We're more than happy to help you promote problem gambling prevention and treatment and recovery, anything that you're doing. And Donna's always creating new flyers, so it's great that they can be put up and it doesn't cost anything to you. So I'm going to show you the flyers that are available in the guide. These are new this year. So this is have a conversation with someone who's been there. This is promoting our peer recovery support specialist program. So again, the peers can be reached through either 1-800-GAMBLER or they have cell phone numbers, and I'm going to put up the peer map in a few minutes. So our second flyer, this is really around March Madness. Again, we're not really allowed to put that name in print. But so this is just encouraging safe gambling around people that are going to bet on the basketball brackets. And we want to just make sure that it's done safely. And then finally, this flyer is really showing that a gambling problem doesn't discriminate. It could be your neighbor, could be your family member, could be a friend. And it's okay to ask for help, and here is our helpline number. So this is something you can put up. Lots of people smiling and happy, and that's what we would like people to be, well and happy. So, but if you're having problems with gambling, just please call our number. So this is another flyer available for you to post. And this is the awareness materials order form that I was talking about earlier, and we've shown on a lot of our webinars in the past. All you have to do is complete it and fax it in, or fax it. Most people scan it and email it, but you can just, or you can call. The messages are answered every day, so you're able to request any free materials that you're in need of. So this is the peer territory map I was speaking of. So if you are working in a certain area in the state, you should get to know your peer. They're here to help you. They're here to help the people you serve. So Karen Miller is located in Western Maryland, and Ken Wolfson is in Central Maryland. Carrie Jenkins covers Baltimore City. In Southern Maryland, we have Will Hinman, and then the Eastern Shore, we have Kenny Crawford, and our peers are outstanding. I would never hesitate to call them if you need anything. And they can also get you materials as well. So they like to do outreach and just presentations in general to groups in recovery. So I wanted to touch on real quick, because we're about to wrap up here. There are some additional information and things available through the National Council on Problem Gambling website. So this is the website that you would go to for these additional materials. They also have a Problem Gambling Awareness Month toolkit, which is similar to ours, but there's enough differences to note. Actually, the use of hashtag, the Problem Gambling PGAM is the hashtag that they would like everybody to use. So sometimes, especially like on Twitter, you'll see that people do these hashtags. So, and if you use enough hashtags, then it kind of boosts up your view, the way your views and are, sorry, the way that you're viewed on the World Wide Web. So using hashtags can elevate messages and programs. They also have a frequently asked questions sheet. So that's available to download if you're interested in that. In addition, they have on their homepage for Problem Gambling Awareness Month an events page. Also, you can put your events on the website, and then you can click on it and see events that are taking place across the nation. And an interesting thing about this is most of those events are virtual. So if you are interested in seeing another state and how they do their Problem Gambling Awareness Month, it's gotten much easier to do that. So you're able to take part in those out-of-state activities if you'd like. There's also a sample press release and an official proclamation. So if you're in a local county and you're able to reach your county executive to do an official proclamation for Problem Gambling Awareness Month, generally they just say, you know, this elected official recognizes March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and then they have the fancy signature. So those, they have a sample of one of those on their website. Also a sample letter to the editor if you'd like to submit a letter to the editor. Again, that's a free way to kind of put something in the newspaper to raise awareness about an issue. And then also under that events section, you'll see other states are doing their annual conferences during March. I was pretty amazed. Even Ohio and Pennsylvania, so really close by, if you want to register for their annual conferences, most of them are just a minimal amount of money, but you have this opportunity without traveling. You can see other annual conferences. So if that's of interest to you, that is available. So these are the resources that we promote here in Maryland for problem gambling help. And already mentioned the 1-800-GAMBLER helpline. So we do have that. We do have our Help Seeker website, and then we have our main website. And then I've mentioned the National Council on Problem Gambling. So they're also a very good resource for you for more information on problem gambling treatment, prevention, resources. Gamblers Anonymous, which currently most of the meetings are done virtually. So another opportunity to attend meetings when you don't have to travel. So there is some benefit to that. So you can promote the Problem Gamblers Awareness or Problem Gamblers Anonymous website. Also, Gam-Anon would be for family members, help for the family members of the problem gambler. And then we have the Maryland Council on Problem Gambling, and they are currently involved in some faith-based awareness in the state of Maryland. Lots of clergy and faith-based leaders being trained to recognize the signs of problem gambling and what they can do to help. So if you want more information on that, I encourage you to go to the Maryland problemgambling.org. And in addition, the Maryland Coalition of Families are the peer support for the family members of a problem gambler. So in-house, we have the peer recovery support specialists that help individuals. The Maryland Coalition of Families has the peer support specialists that help the family members. So Nancy Quetus is the contact there, and there's her email address. Also, you are able to call Maryland 211 and press 1 for crisis if you are in a crisis. And I thank you for your time today and for joining this webinar. So I'm going to see if there are any questions. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box.
Hi, Heather. We do have one comment from Kristen, one of our attendees, that said, and this is regarding screening. Another way, this is part of our regular screening. So I think this was another way to have the conversation. This is part of our regular screening. It is something we ask everyone. Non-judgmental approach to ask the questions and to incorporate as part of regular ongoing screening.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, Kristen's more of the expert on the screening and the treatment end, so I appreciate that comment.
And we don't have any other questions at this time.
Okay, well, again, I thank everyone for joining, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And hopefully you'll join us again for another webinar. And if you have any questions at all, I can be reached by email, and Donna is available. Also, Davine Hinton in our office. She does a lot of getting materials out as well. So we are here to help you. Just contact the center, and we'd be glad to support you in any Problem Gambling Awareness Month activities that you would like to do. So thank you again for joining, and we'll see you another time at another webinar.